Hey, I know you watched the first episode and you're now in the hospital wondering why is this dude continuing? Why is he continuing to make me suffer? Why do I continue watching? Let me tell you why. You're as much of a hostage in here as I am. We're both in an unpleasant situation and it's only about to get much, much worse. Hey, welcome to the second episode of the map making tutorial for Phantom Forces. Today, we are going to be covering topics such as basic building, scaling, stairs, and how to properly scale your map to the game so that, you don't have midget map. So, let's get to the first topic, building. I know last episode was very short on building for, a thing that is mostly building. Before you start, let me remind you, we cannot use the new Roblox materials. We have to stick to the old ones. So for that, I'm gonna go into Material Service, disable 2022 materials. Now, with that done, time for some building. So first, let's build some stairs to our pagoda because you cannot mantle over this tall of a step. For stairs, you have two options. You can either make them go one step up, two steps forward, and you'll end up with a very nice 30-degree angle, or you can make it go one step up, one step forward for a 45-degree angle. How do you know which type of stair to use and when? That's depending on how much space you want your stairs to take, because as you can see, this 30-degree stair takes up more space than my 45-degree stair. In just half the space, I do the same vertical shift. But of course, since it is a 45-degree angle, since it is a more steep stair, the traversal of said stairs is going to be less smooth, and it's probably not going to be very comfortable for the end user. So ideally, you want to use 30-degree stairs, but if you don't have enough space, use 45-degree stairs. Now, when you're building stairs, you don't only have to make the physical stair, you also have to make a collision block. For collision blocks, you can use any part. In the case of stairs, I use wedges if it is a stair that has nothing below it, and if it is a stair that has something like a basement beneath or some sort of room, I just copy a part and put it on the hypotenuse of the wedge. Now, how do you turn this from a normal wedge to a collision block? The very first step, you scroll down in properties, you go to name, you type capital C, lowercase o, lowercase l to make coal. Why did I say it this way? Because the Phantom Forces framework implementation for maps is very case sensitive, so you want to make sure you get the spelling correctly, because if you don't, it is going to break really badly and your map is going to look terrible. So make sure you have capital C, O, L, coal. You can leave it like this, but preferably you want to be able to distinguish it from normal parts. So what I'm going to do is go to material, or you can use the material manager too. I'm going to make the material force field, and just like that, it's almost invisible. But I'm still not very happy, and I might mix it up with, for example, the concrete, the bricks beneath the pagoda. So I'm going to make it a glowing neon pink. But now I have a second problem. I'm working on the pagoda and I can accidentally click on the collision block. For now, I'm going to make it have negative transparency. You can have positive transparency up to 1, in which case it becomes completely transparent, and you can have negative transparency, which makes the material more opaque, although this is more noticeable with semi-transparent materials such as force field. Now, I want this stair on the other side. What I'm gonna do is go into the block, because your camera can go into parts just fine, and what I'm gonna do is, while holding shift, I'm gonna click on the parts I want to select. Just like that, I'm selecting all of my stair. And now I can simply just Ctrl D and I'll have duplicated my stair. But as you can see, I left these steps unmodified. They are still the same size as my original step. So what I can do is drag it, rotate it by pressing R, which will rotate this 90 degrees. And then, while holding the mouse against the side of a part that I want to press this up against, you can see I'm dragging it along it. There you have it, 2 even stairs. But there is there's a catch, and that is, how do I know this is fit for the player? These walls look too high, and in fact, they are, because they are 4 studs tall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the marketplace here on the toolbox screen. I'm gonna type NPC. This is temporary, and you ideally don't want to do this, but I like to do this for personal preference. You type NPC, click noob, then in noob, you go to remove everything by going to Explorer, click from the first thing you want to select to the last, and hold shift. Then you right click and click select children, and then you delete. If you don't want to delete something, let me undo. You simply hold Ctrl and click on what you want to keep. Let's delete this once more. Let me name my test dummy J. J is our new test dummy, and boom. So J is the actual size of your average Phantom Forces player model. That is 4 studs wide and 5 studs tall. So if Jay were to walk up to this pagoda, he would stick his strode against the wall, and in Phantom Forces' case, you wouldn't be able to shoot. So what I'm gonna do is, having Jay here, I'm gonna lower this wall. In fact, I'm gonna lower all of the other walls, just so everything is nice and symmetrical. Now I have all of these floating pillars, and here's where the next part of the tutorial comes in. Plugins. Plugins are community-made custom extensions for Roblox Studio. So, for instance, I have one of my own that helps me count the amount of parts, unions, which are clusters of parts made in Roblox, meshes, artificial light sources, textures, and visible and invisible parts in the entire workspace. So say if I copy this and click force recount, it will update. So I have all of these floating pillars, and I could scale them one by one, but that's gonna take me a lot of time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag select, and then I'm gonna use the QCMD-UTL or command utility plugin. I'm gonna go to resize subject or press R, and then just like the scaling tool, it will scale everything I have selected downwards, or in this case to the negative Y axis. Bear in mind this is on the global axis. So if I copy this pillar, and then I'm gonna copy this pillar and then rotate it. So if I extend it here to the right, you see the left pillar extends up and down. So keep that in mind when selecting multiple parts. Make sure that they are all in the same orientation. Now I'm gonna do some fancy tricks by thinner, making this thinner. A cool little trick you can do is that if 2 or more parts that you have currently selected are the exact same dimensions, you will be able to see them, and if you have multiple parts selected, any alteration you do will apply to all of them simultaneously. So once again, multiple pillars to extend, I just drag select, command utility plugin, and I have my pillars down once again. Now I want them to be nice red wood. Oh no, now that I have changed the texture, I have something called sea fighting. This happens when you have 2 or more parts that at some point touch up at the exact same coordinates. So looking at it from the front facing the left set axis of this part touches up at the exact left set axis of this other part. So what I'm gonna do, and in fact I'm gonna do this for all of the other walls because this is a issue showing up. I'm gonna go select all of them, and I'm gonna go here to size, and I'm gonna modify the size. And as you can see, now I don't have the issue. For this, I don't have that problem because I measured them just right. Now I'm gonna make these walls brick, and they're white brick now. This is temporary. I'm gonna leave the floor red, and I'm gonna make the roof black. But I don't like this tone of black. So what I'm gonna do is I go to properties, color, not brick color. I'm gonna click here, and you're gonna get an extra window that is like the Microsoft Paint color picker. You can use this to fine-tune the color more to your liking, or if you're more familiar with RGB settings, you can type in whatever RGB color code you want. In this case, I'm gonna use 42, 41, 40, and now I have a nicer tone of black that I prefer to use. You will notice my character is shaking. That's because the motion capture gets messed up when I take my hands close to my head. I'm just moving my hands in front of my face, and I'm now... Poor Cyclops man is having a seizure. So, with the basics of building done, it's time to do some more building. So what I'm gonna do is take this here, move it here. I want this to be the bottom face of the map, which for our pagoda is gonna be the entrance. So let's make it grass, and let's make it a nice tone of green, so that we can distinguish it later. And here, let's make a big shrine. Why not? I want it centered, so like the last episode, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna type 200. That's gonna make it just right. I'm going to do the same here, except I'm gonna clone this part and drag it here for later. Then here, I click the first grass part and make it 200 as well. But now I wanna move this grass part I copied, fit it just nicely with this, and now I'm gonna extend it. What I'm doing right now is some abstract shaping of what I want the map to look like. So, I don't want the pagoda to be like... I don't want the whole map to be on the same level. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the pagoda and I'm gonna raise it up. Let me click this nice to the base plate. The shrine as well, I also want it to be higher up. And all the ground level just remains down. So to connect these, I'm gonna go here, fit this, stretch this over here, move this to the other side too, so that this shrine doesn't have only one entrance. And now, you have noticed by now, the pagoda is unreachable. So I'm gonna build a couple bridges. I'm gonna, for now, leave them like this. Make this planks. I'm gonna make them red. I'm gonna make one bridge red and the other bridge blue, but I want all of this centered. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab all of the central things and I'm gonna group them, and then I just noticed it's already centered. What is not centered is my terrain. Well, placeholder terrain. Now I have my pagoda, but now I have to reach the shrine section. So what I'm gonna do is make yet another wedge, make sure it is anchored. In fact, just in case you feel like you forgot to anchor something, you can go to Explorer, scroll all the way up, click on Workspace, and if anchor isn't darkened, click it, and everything in the workspace should be forced to be anchored. Once again, when you anchor a part, it is no longer affected by physics. Make this nice brick, repeat the same on the other side, and now I have the very basic layout. Garden here, shrine here. Well, big building. Now we get to the more granular layout, as in what I specifically want to do. Using this reference, well, this reference part, I'm gonna make a pillar. Well, first I'm gonna move this up to the bridge. Let me make a couple. Let me make some room for this. Now I make the pillar. And now I need reference images. So Firefox, I look for a quick, simple reference image and go back. So it is an archway. How do I make an archway? You could make it manually, that being make a part, go to edit pivot to move the center of that part, move the center where you want it, rotate the part, then clone that part, rotate it, and so on. But here's where plugins come in handy once more. For this part, I'm going to move it back up to here, then while holding it, I'm gonna go to plugins. While having it selected, I'm gonna use the Archimedes plugin. Archimedes basically generates a part on a certain angle on a certain face. So I'm gonna flip axis and it's gonna flip it on one way, and swap sides changes the side of the part that the angled part is being generated at. Don't want it to be too steep. so I'm gonna make it 30, but this part is gonna be much shorter. Let's say 6. Now flip axis, make this 5. Nah, 10. Now I have configured my parts, so I'm gonna click render, and render again, and now as you can see, the archway isn't gonna reach the other side of the bridge. So what I'm gonna do is select this part, use the move tool, and simply swap sides, flip axis 30 degrees, and repeat the same process I did on the other side. Render, render. I could click render and then match these two parts together, but that is not very optimal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to plugins and I'm gonna close Archimedes, and now I'm gonna use another plugin called Geom Tools. In Geom Tools, I'm gonna go to resize align, and then I'm gonna click on this face, which is the one that I want to drag up to this other face. And just as easy as that, I have an archway bridge. It's as simple as that. Now, I could close this gap by going to size, making this a 24, but I don't want to make it a full number. I don't want to make it a whole number. I wanted to keep this decimal so that I can simply just move the parts on their own later. So I'm going to do the size minus 6. As you can see, all of these take arithmetic operations and use the result. Now, I want to move these planks, but they are all on an angle, so switch to global axis and move them. And since I offset them by 3 parts each, I just had to move them 3 parts. But this offset doesn't convince me, so I'm gonna do it one more time. Minus 6. Oops. Just perfect. And now fit this here, fit this here. I remove the sea fighting by scaling the parts properly. And now I simply take 2 pillars, move them around nice and neat, and with the command util plugin, I scale them. Move this to the other face. Let me check for symmetry. Repeat. Command util. Resize object. Scale up. And just like that, I have a basic Japanese bridge. Now, I'm going to select my bridge. I'm going to take it to the other side. Now, my bridge is not connected to my terrain, so what I'm gonna do is copy this wedge, and as a placeholder, I could either leave this here, but that would be a very basic, very crude solution. So what I'm gonna do is scale this part up, move the ladder up, and then move this here, clone this wedge, and just so it doesn't interfere with the harmony of the grass, I'm gonna make it grass material, and then through the color picker I make it the same color. I can eyeball the colors, but if you're new to Studio, it's gonna take some time. So get familiar with each and every one of these so that you can in the future eyeball it and say, I like this one, I like this one better, I like this one better. It's a matter of patience more than anything. I'm gonna expand this grass a little bit, then I'm gonna copy this over to the other side. So if you give me 1 second, copy this here, 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 and here. Now I have to flip all of these so that they match up here evenly. So what I can do is use another plugin from Geom Tools, which is Reflect. You have to have something selected for this plugin to be able to be used. So I have my selection, simply click on the face you want to reflect it from, and boom, perfect reflection. Now I can just move this until it fits just like that. Just perfect. For the reflect plugin, it only reflects parts. It cannot reflect like meshes or unions. So keep that in mind. Now I want to fill in the gaps for this terrain. So I'm gonna copy this grass, shrink it and fit it to size. 35, 35, then drag it around just like that. It's too long, so scale it down, then rotate it, drag it to the other side. Same with this one. Now that's looking slightly more the shape, but I think there's something very important missing from our, well, shrine, and that is the shrine. So I'm gonna go to Firefox once more. Shinto shrine. So last video I said for more complicated builds you're gonna spend a lot of time looking at reference images. This is what I meant. I like the walls, but it's the roof what scares me. I'm gonna use this one as my reference. So let me close shrine, well, the shrine picture in Firefox, and let's get to building the real shrine. Quality transition. It won't fucking stop. Oh shit, it's not recording. So let's build the Shinto shrine. So from the picture, which I'm gonna pull up once more here. It is a bit long on the front, so I'm gonna take this part right here. I'm gonna make it 60, and then this 60, I'm gonna make it 75. I'm gonna make it 60. And I'm gonna extend this to 75. Now, to avoid sea fighting on the floor, I'm gonna close this up here, scale that up here, and then scale this up here as well. Now, going back to the Shinto shrine. Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy this pillar, see how tall it is. 15, so I'm gonna make it 16. I'm gonna make this a darker wood. Move these around, make sure your symmetry is preserved as much as you possibly can preserve it. Otherwise, it's gonna look very odd and people are not gonna like it very much. Even if you can eyeball it, you should have a method to guarantee that you're preserving that symmetry. So as you can see here, I kind of messed up. I'm gonna move this here, select this, delete, and now I move this to the middle here, delete this, move 2, move 2. I'm gonna repeat the same for these, for the other side. Since most of the map is symmetrical, I should be able to repeat this with no issue. And boom, the foundations of the temple have been settled, have been laid down. Now I can move more foundations around. I don't fucking know really. Now I wanna split this stairs. So if this is 49, it is divisible by 7. But if I make it 7, I'm gonna have a lot of empty space. So I'm gonna make it 14, 14, take this, 21, delete this. And to repeat the same process here, I'm gonna just 21. Perfect. Scratching my eye a bit. Take all of the foundations so far. I'm gonna move them over here. Move these up to here. And now I'm gonna move this here. Put this here. And just for the entrance, put the 2 foundations here. I'm gonna repeat that process with the other ramp. The other entrance ramp. Perfect. Just like that. Now for these, I'm gonna lay these down, or I can this here and here. And now all I have to do is make the walls, which, going back to the image, is this image doesn't give me a good look at them, so let's go with these. Copy this here, copy this here, copy this here. Now I go here, make it 1, perfect. Make this 200, perhaps. Yeah, 200 seems good. So I'm gonna make this 200, but this balcony looks inaccessible. So what I'm gonna do is Control D, stretch this all the way over here. Then I'm gonna leave this opening, Control D again, this, then stretch it right back. Let me check that the entrances are the same size. 16, 16 indeed. And now I have decent walls, let's call it. Gonna move this over here, scale it down with the scaling tool. I suffered a lot last night after editing the first episode. Now I move this here and simply scale this all the way over here. Now for the other walls, the walls on the Z-axis, I just Control D and go to X, make it 1, and now I just stretch these parts. Now I move this here, and now that I have the shrine set down, I can make a roof. For a roof, the simple solution is simply grab your floor, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, then plugins, once again, Command Util, resize object, and now you have a roof, which I'm going to make wood, 42, 41, 40, but I want this roof to stand out a bit, so stretch it here, stretch it here, stretch it to this side, and stretch it to this side. Now this roof stands out a bit more. So let's make a placeholder, well, roof. Yeah, I take this brick wedge, I'm going to temporarily make it this color of gray. And here's my next tip for roofs. Stretch your initial wedge to the total width of the roof. Check which axis you are extending the wedge in. In this case, it's the z-axis. Then divide this in half. Then simply drag it to one side, duplicate, and it should fit right in nice and easy. I'm gonna make this roof up to 13 studs tall. Now repeat the same process over here. Whoa. This is why you sometimes want to lock parts. Sometimes the handles of tools fail and you end up dragging parts out of place, which can throw you off immensely if you happen to drag around, say, the group of parts where you have the collision walls for your map. Yeah, I sort of got it. Has never happened to me. No, not real, cannot happen. So back to the shrine. 300, make this 31, and now I select these, go to plugins, command util, 26, and then notice what happens when you have parts in different orientation. So to fix this, all I have to do is deselect and drag, but that takes time, so do be careful. All I have to do is drag this over here, and it doesn't fit, so what I'm gonna do is once again delete either half and scale. In this case, if I divide it by 2, it gives me 25.5, which you can work around by simply going to move, making it 0.5, and now you can edit it safely just like that. Or you can use the same trick to move it back 1, move it back 1, and have a center part in here. Now I'm gonna make the railings for this, but before that I want to make sure the walls are distinguishable from the pillars, because right now they are the same material. 1, 2, 3, stretch, then make it 1. Oh, it's 4, sorry, now it is 3. Once again, let me bring J over here to keep scaling consistent. I apologize for the long silence. I just don't have much to say for this segment of the tutorial where I'm just doing more than I am saying. So perhaps I could jump from tutorial to... Oh no! An error in the positioning. I can fix it really quickly. Boom. Just like that, crisis averted. Now let me do the same for the horizontal ones. Take this here, make this 1, drag this over here, drag this over here, and control duplicate, drag this here, scratch my nose again, drag this over here. Oh wait, I can just go to the other side, grab this, and now I make some railings for these ramps. Just like that. So you can notice taking up the size of a wedge by, say, 1 step. So in this case, this wedge is 8 by 23. So this means that this is actually a not 30-degree angle. I'd say it's a 20-degree angle. Let me do the math real quick. Yes, I'll cheat on this. So triangle calculator. So I have 8, 23. It's a, yeah, almost 20-degree angle. Fairly good. So to make railings for these ramps, what you do is take the wedge and bump it up by 1 step. So if it is 823, you bump it up to 925. Now, you may have noticed I left empty gaps on my map, on my base plate. That is because I'm gonna turn this base plate into water. So Control A to select everything, move it up 1, 2, 3, move it up as much as you need, really. Update the part count, because that's something you really should keep in mind at all times. And now I go here, foil. I like to use foil for water, but you can use anything you want. And you fit your water part to the size of the base plate. Okay, what I'm gonna do is grab these parts, use command utility, resize them to 10, select the wedges, and this is where command utility messes me up. Oh, it actually didn't mess me up. That's why you gotta keep track of your orientations. Let me stretch this over here. I can let this sea fighting occur because this is the edge of the map. People are not gonna see it. Like, generally speaking, you don't want sea fighting if people are going to see it. If people cannot see it, you can just let it happen. You can just let it slide. Fill this up. Let me fill the other hole up. Let me now scale this. I am speaking like this because yesterday I had problems with Camtasia catching my voice. Now, for a nice water effect, I recommend lower this by 3, then up it by 1, make it 1 stud thick, and now 0.25, drag it up by 1, 0.5, drag it up by 1, 0.75. Now I need to stretch these so that they go into the water all nice and neat. I'm gonna stretch these. Whoa! I picked the wrong tool. Resize center does the blender type of scaling, that is, resizing it from both ends. Resize object is the normal resize, but applied to all the things that you have selected on the global axis. Okay, now that is looking way better. Oh yes. And with that, we have a very basic layout of, well, the pagoda map. But there's something bugging me, the terrain. And next episode is gonna be solely focused on getting the terrain just right. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember to subscribe and, well, hit like and all the notifications button, you know, the corporation, 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 the corporation.